Hello, we want to welcome you to our show today, the Sunnyside Community Voice, where all this month we've been dealing with mental health. And today, on our panel today, we have our distinguished guest, Judge Ed Emmett. With us today, we have Robin, our co-host, and also Pastor James Nash, who is our CEO. But we're really excited about having Judge Emmett on with us today. And first of all, we want Judge Emmett, he is Harris County Judge. We want him to tell us a little bit of something about himself. First of all, what is a Harris County Judge? Some people just don't know.
Right.
And what does your office do? So, Judge Emmett, why don't you give us a little bit about yourself and about your position?
Well, thank you very much. First, let me talk about county judge.
Okay.
As I spend a lot of time telling people, the county judge is more an administrator. I'm not a judge that wears robes, not even a lawyer.
Okay.
But the county judge and the 4 county commissioners set policy for the county. And I'm elected county-wide, of course. And but one of the things I do is I chair the juvenile board, and I'm the director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. So those are the roles that most people see me in. I personally have a great interest in mental illness for a lot of the same reason a lot of people do. I had a family member who suffered from panic disorder, and I grew up in a family that had that illness. And you know, it's one of those situations where you realize if we don't get people the help they need on the mental health side,
Exactly.
It hurts them, it hurts their family, and it hurts society as a whole, too.
Yes, because we all are affected by mental health in some kind of way. I was telling them in our church on Sunday, either by our family member having it or a crime perpetrated on us by someone who has mental illness. And the only way that we can do anything about it is to speak out about it and, like you say, get the help that we need. Now, I know that we don't want to bombard you with questions about funding, because you know that's the big issue right now. The big issue is funding for mental health, and we're hearing all around that they're going to be cutting the funding to that, and that's so distressing to us.
Oh, it was distressing to me, and I don't mind telling you, my wife Gwen and I spent a lot of time during this past legislative session pleading with the legislators not to cut funding for a lot of and at the end, they didn't cut it pretty much. It's pretty much the same way it was, but it wasn't enough to start with. And that's the problem. Money spent on mental health keeps people out of the jails.
Right. Exactly.
And it costs a lot more to deal with somebody in the jail setting than it does in the mental health setting. And that, of course, doesn't even consider the problems that result from untreated mental health. And if I may, what people have to realize, there's no shame in mental health issues.
Oh, thanks for saying that. It really isn't.
If you have a disorder of the kidney,
exactly,
you don't hesitate to go get your kidney treated.
Right. Exactly.
We're talking about another organ. It's this organ up here. It's the brain.
Exactly.
And so many of them are chemical imbalances.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's just no shame in it. Everybody needs to recognize what illnesses they have and deal with them.
And that's exactly why we keep doing what we're doing. Instead of just sitting back and not saying anything about it, we keep saying, you need to talk about it. You need to get the help. The more people speak out about it, the more people are aware of what's going on. And most of the time, you don't really want to say anything about it until it hits your door. But it's global. It's everybody that it affects. So we really need to continue to speak out about it and continue to do what we can, whether it's on the small grassroots level, calling your office all the time, or calling some other politician's office all the time, to try to keep things going, to let them know it's there. And we're dealing with our area. We're dealing, it's everywhere, but we're dealing with the Sunnyside area because we do have a lot there. We've had, the guests that we've had on the show have told us a lot of information that we really didn't know was out there, so that has helped a little bit. So maybe we can help some by having people like you on the show talking about what we can do. What would be your advice to grassroots, to our community? What do you think that we need to be doing to work on that?
I'll talk straight to the community on that one. First and foremost, recognize the symptoms of a mental health issue and deal with them. You know, I mentioned it earlier, I'll mention it again. I know a lot of men, for example, who have hypertension, and they take little pills to take care of that. take the little pills that are prescribed to deal with the chemical imbalance in the brain, whether it's severe depression or bipolar or whatever. Beyond that, though, knowing the Sunnyside community, as I do, we're also working through the Harris County Hospital District and the neighborhood clinics. People have to establish a medical home in their neighborhood.
Exactly.
And this is particularly true of indigents, and obviously everybody in Sunnyside is not indigent,
Right.
but the ones who are the ones least likely to get help.
Exactly.
And they're the ones that we most need to help.
Right.
So Harris County Hospital District, neighborhood clinics, they are cooperating with MHMRA now. And so people need to go in. If you think you have a problem, I can't say it often enough. You know, if you have a pain, you go get it checked out. If you think you have a mental health issue, go get it checked out.
Right, right.
Pastor, do you have anything for that?
First of all, Judge, we're real happy to have you on the show. One of the things we've been doing in the community, in Sunnyside, for instance, this group, NAMI, we are partnering with them, and matter of fact, I carry 2 young ladies with that group to 3 schools, and believe it or not, the school very receptive. I mean, they were excited about and getting the kids involved, getting the schools involved. And I think we have to start at the level with kids. Just yesterday, we saw a 14-year-old kill a grandmother. Now, to me, it had to be some signs about the kids and why it's important for the community to get involved and not be ashamed of the issue is because sometimes you might save somebody's life, keep somebody from being in extra trouble because we see these things happening, but we turn our head to them because we don't be involved. Now, in our community, in the black community, for some reason or another, we just don't want people to know that we have somebody in our families like that, or have friends like that. And to me, that's tragic because when we do that, first of all, we're preventing them from getting help, and then we might be endangering somebody else's life. The worst we've ever gotten from my mother. A small kid, and I saw a man, I mean, he was really bipolar, and he was really stressed out, and I made fun of him. And my mother called me in and she put a strap on me, said, don't you ever mock people like that because we are all just this far from having something wrong. Just a little slight thing can get into your life, and before you know it, don't you ever do that. So that's why we got a passion for this. And during Katrina, a lot of people didn't know that you work real close with Mayor Bill White. And from that perspective, I know that the people from Katrina was experiencing a lot of post-traumatic trauma and from losing everything. So don't you think it's important? What can the community, what would you suggest to the viewers, the community, the churches, the pastors? What could we do concerning if they would cut the funding out or talk about continuing to cut it out? What do you think? What could we do from that level?
Well, first, I'm not willing to give up on the funding being cut. I think it's the most important funding issue we face. To put it in perspective, to have somebody treated through MHMRA costs $12 to $30 a day. If that same person ends up in the Harris County Jail, which, by the way, the largest psychiatric facility in the state of Texas is the Harris County Jail.
We found that out.
That's just fundamentally wrong. That shouldn't be.
Of course it is.
And if we could get those people out of the jail, it's the conservative thing to do because it costs $300 to $500 a day to take care of somebody in the jail, and the jails are overcrowded. We have got to get people out, but the neighborhood, whether you're talking about Sunnyside or River Oaks, the neighborhood has to take care of itself. If you know of somebody that's got an issue, point them in the right direction. There are a lot of resources in Harris County, and we need to make sure people know where those resources are and take advantage of them.
All right. Quickly, I know the judge, he's in a hurry, he got to go to another appointment. Every day, 300 to 400 people being let out of Harris County Jail. They roam around 3 or 4 days on the street, right back in jail. And to me, that's why funding is so important. That maybe some facility, rather than turn them out on the street, that they can go through this facility. That's why it's important.
Almost like I planted that question. Let me address that real quick. We've talked about a joint integration center, joint processing center. And originally it was thought about the city and the county would work together to process inmates going into the jail. But now we realize we need to process them coming out. Because right now you have people that are released and basically they're patted on the head and said, have a nice day. Well, what we need to do is be able to turn them, introduce them to MHMRA, Systems of Hope, faith-based groups, and get them the help they need so that we don't see them again in the
Right,
jail.
right,
And that's going to
right.
be an important part that the community can play.
Right.
Well, for our audience, Judge Edmond, we want to thank you for being here. I know that
Yeah.
you have
I'm sorry,
I understand that you have another appointment to go to, and we will continue this conversation after you go. But thank you so much for being
We
here
got another
with
show
us.
you can come on too.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
nice.
You can always,
Let me
we
know.
can always schedule you again.
Yeah.
We apologize to the audience for the conflict in schedule that he
No,
does
no.
have to leave, but we appreciate what you've given us
Yeah.
since you've been here. So. And we thank you for being here with us
Well,
today.
thank you for what you're doing
And
to
thank
get
you.
this
Thank you.
word out
And
to
we're
the
going to
community.
continue this
Right.
on, and we will get with your office on the 15th and see if possible for you to be at our rally on the 15th. Thank you,
Thank you very
so
much.
much for being here
Thank you
with
for
us.
coming, Jen. Good to see
Thank
you.
you
Good
so
to see
much.
you.
Thank you so much. Now, we will continue on here with with our discussion. That we know that there are some things that we can do with mental health, and he has told us the low grassroots that we can do at our level. And Pastor, you said it. You said it so right that we need to start doing some things at that level, just like the judge just say. What can you say to the audience to give them some kind of hope or some kind of direction in what we can be doing in our neighborhoods?
Well, one of the things I think is we've been getting having a lot of conversation about what can we do as a community, what can we do as churches, or what can we do as leaders in the community. And I think what should happen is that when we know people that have these type situations, that we at least try to make contact with the family members or somebody that know that these people have these type situations, because we don't ever want to just seem to throw people away.
Exactly.
Like we're not
Exactly.
concerned about them. I think
Exactly.
too often what happens when we see people that have some sort of a mental disorder, too often we back away from it. We don't want to have anything to do with it.
Exactly.
And we've got to be more proactive and trying to help people and let them know that there are facilities that is treatable. I was on a rail, riding a rail one day, and a young man got on the rail and he was talking, and he was really out of control, but he wasn't violent. He was just talking his conversation. And people on the rail train, they was afraid to death of him. And I thought that was so tragic, because I said, now here's the person who really, really need help, but the people are so afraid of him that he might not even get in contact. I said, why don't we call Metro or something like that and have somebody when they're on guard, on duty, ready, and when these people have those type situations out of control, it should be somebody there, professional, that know how to deal with people with that type situation, because, fear sometimes of what you don't know can be detrimental to you, and I don't want to see people just thrown away that's unable to help themselves. Who can tell the mind of a man? Only Christ. But those of us that see people like that, the compassion that's why we're doing this show, because we recognize the need to help people like that. And mentally, we're all just a step away from something tragic happening that we might end up the same way. So it's not anything it's not a gradual build-up sometimes. Sometimes it just hit instantly like that. It's according to what a person going through, and are they able to handle some of the things. So we have people like the judges that have been on the program here, and we have others that have been on the program that know how to deal with mental health and know something about it. And I think over time we don't really study and make ourselves educated toward how to deal with people like that. It has to be through training, because I'm not a psychiatrist, but I am a pastor that has compassion for people like that. And it breaks my heart to see people with that situation and nobody seems to even care, And like we keep mentioning about the people coming in and out of jail like that. I heard the judge talk very passionate about that it shouldn't be that way, because we are housing people that have a sickness, and sickness have to be treated. And when they're not treated, well, how can the people be helped?
Exactly. Robin, you've been silent for a while, so we want to hear from you today.
Okay, Ms. Shirley, I think this